Hey guys, it's Minecraft Maxwell, and this is part 4 of building a Minecraft calculator. So last part, it's going to be the decimal to 7-segment display, and the 7-segment display. So first you're going to want to start by bringing this out just a lot. That'll be good. And make this inverted right here. And then bring on the redstone. But also be sure, let's say right here, you have a repeater there, and that should be good. So let's see. Okay. We want redstone there, and a whole redstone line coming back to the very end. Just like this. Okay. Almost there. And we want 14 of those exact lines. And repeater at the end. But before we copy the line, we want to test it out to see where we're going to need a repeater. Okay, there we go. Repeaters are covered. Now here's just an easy trick. Left click the repeater. Come all the way back. And right click this grass right here. That's right next to this redstone. And then we're going to face this way and stack 13. We want 14 of them. Now let's see. At the 7th line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to come right here and break this block. And this repeater is actually placed just perfectly. Make sure that the repeater is placed in between 2 lines, because there's torches. And the torch will stay on at all times if there's a repeater in front of it. So actually I want to remove that. Okay. I'll also put a repeater, say right here. Break this block, you don't really need it at all. And you're probably going to have to extend this just a little more. And it looks like it actually goes all the way, so that's good. Yes, it does. Alright, now, of course, you're going to want to stack that. So left click that redstone right behind the inverter, and right click this block. Expand it 1, and stack 31. Now, as you can see, we have that. Now, the display that shows the answer will be two 7-segment displays. One for the 10s and one for the 1s, of course. So let's just put a little example. So is that the 7th one? Yep. So we can just put that there. Now this is the middle. This is the 10s digit of the 7-segment display. And this is the 1s digit. So we have to code it so the 7-segment display works. Now, let me just build a quick 7-segment display and show you how this is basically going to work. This isn't the exact 7-segment display we'll be using, because we'll actually be using one with redstone lamps so they actually turn off. But this will just be an example. Okay, so here is 1 7-segment display. Imagine it was in redstone lamps. This is the first line. So say we're in the ones and this is the first line. So whatever goes on this line affects this part of the ones. And this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 5, and this is 6, and this is 7. Same with 10's 7-segment display. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Basically, that's it. Oops. Okay, now we're just going to want to make the pattern. So this is 0, which is the 10's digit is 0, and the 0 digit is 0. So if you would just follow this pattern exactly how I do it, then you wouldn't have to worry about how it works. Just follow carefully. On, off, on. Oops. Again, on right here. Okay, now. Oops, never mind. On, off, on. Now this is 1, so it's going to be no 0, that's not necessary, so just a 1. So we're going to want off, on, on. Okay. Let's see, for the 1, it's off. Yeah, never mind. It's off, on, off, on. I think we have an extra one. No. Oh, whoops. Okay, I made a mistake there. I started here, I need to start there. Okay, so off, on, off, on. I'll probably just want to do this. So there's an example in between all of those. And let's just make sure that these repeaters don't interfere. And perfect, none of them do. So now we have 1 and 2 done. 0 and 1. And we'll do 2. I'm just going to do the 0 again. So, on, off, on, off, on. So basically it kind of looks like 2 on each side and 1 in the middle. So we want the 3, which is going to be on, off, on. Okay. Off, on. Like that. Now for 4, off, on, off. For 5, it's going to be on, off. Wait, let's see. Okay, yeah. On, off, on, off, on. And for 6, on, off, on. 7, off, on, off, on. Now, as you can see, 7 was actually the one that was the answer. So if you can see, the 7-segment display result is actually this, which is exactly correct. So if we could come back here and do 8, which is every single one. So okay, whoops. For the 8, which is right after the 7 that we just said was positive. The 8's going to be all of them on. So on, on. No offs. Now for the 9, it's also pretty simple. On, off, and then the rest of them on. So on, off, on, and off. Now for 10, you may realize that the 10's digit is going to have to change to 1. In which case it's the 3rd one and the 6th one. So off, off, on, off, off, on, off. I mean off, yeah. And then the 0 is on, off, on. I mean on. And remember the 3rd, we're using the 1 digit again, so you can just use the same torches that the last one did on the 10's digit, which is the 3rd and the 6th one. Now we're going to need a 1 again, so off, on, off, on, off. And copy the 1 again, make it 2, so on, off, on. And there's your 12. For 13, we're going to use yet again another 1 in the 10's place. So just copy it from behind. If you notice, you just use the same torches every time, so you can get the same torches back just as easily by working behind it. So on, off, on, off, on. And that's your 3. And then again, do a 1 in the 10's place, just like the one behind it. And then do a 4, which is off, on, off. And for the 15, yet again, make another 1 in the 10's place. And then make the 5. So that's on, off, on. Okay, so it's on, off, on, off, on. So that works pretty nice. It's 3 in the middle and 1 on the outline, on the outside, very outside. Now, once again, for the 16, you want another 1 in the 10's place. So just copy it from behind again, and then make the 6, which is on, off, on. And once again, another 1 in the 10's place for 17, just like behind. And this is pretty simple too. Off, on, off, on. And now you're going to want another 1 in the 10's place. Oops. Just like the one before for the 18. Again, on. And this is the last 1 in the 10's place for the 19. Which is on, off, on. And now for 20, we're going to change the 10's place. But if you remember, the 2 is pretty simple. It's on, off, on. Just make sure that's correct. Let's see, it goes like that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Okay, yep, that's correct. And then the 0 right here, which is on, off, on. Another 2. 1, 2, okay. Just copy the one from behind. As you can see, they're exactly the same. And the 1, so it's off, on. Off, on, off. And then for 22, just copy the same from behind for the tens digit, because it's 2 again for 22. Just like that. I'm going to make that once again, because it's 2 in one's place too. Now for 23, again another 2 in the tens place. Just simply like that. And then we're going to have to make a 3, which is on, off, on, off, on. And a 2 in the tens place again. This is 24, so let's make 4. Off, off, on, off. For 25, again, another 2 in the tens place, just like again. But now 5, because it's 25. So we're going to want, just like that, and then, whoops, on, off, on, off, on. 26, yet another 2 in the tens place. And now we're going to want to make a 6, which looks just like this. On, off, on. 27, 2 in the tens place, 2 in the tens place. And a 20 and a 7 for the 27. So off, on, off, on, off. 28. Another 2 in the tens place. The pattern will be on. And 29, finally the last 2 in the tens place. So happy. And we're going to want to make a 9, which is on, off, on. And 30. So on, oops, on, off, on, off, on. Just make sure that's a 3 at C, so it's on, off, on, off, on. Okay, that's good. And a 0 for 30, 3-0. On, off, on. And finally our 31, the last number of our, So, again, the 3 in the tens place, it's on, off, on, off, on. And our 1. So off, on, off, on, off. And there's 31 too. Now that you have that, one moment. Okay, now that you have that, any output 0 to 31 should come out here in 7 segment display format. And you want to go all the way back and actually make your 7 segment display. We're going to want to exchange the glowstone out with redstone there. Okay. So you're going to want to make this 11 long. Let's see. That tall. So let's see. I'll see what the dimensions are in a second. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on the bottom, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 up. And now, right here, fill it in, and notice that there's 2 more and then right here, and then right here. Each of these 3 blocks I'm creating out, each of them are 1 segment. Looks like I was exactly correct on what the dimensions should be. Actually, no, I'm not. You need to add 2 more. Almost done. And there's our display. And just so you know, we need a block under this one, under right there. It blocks exactly where I'm placing them. And probably repeaters on each of them. Now, as you can see, each of these repeaters turn on all 3 of the redstone maps. So they're pretty much segment displays. Now for the most complicated part, and it's actually the easiest part, but the most annoying part, we're going to have to move all 14 of these wires to turn around and go all the way to the 7 segment display. So I'm just going to fast forward this part and show you guys the result. Now you may have realized I've made 3 lines so far, sped it all up, but I realized even though I'm speeding it up, I'm wasting time in real life. And I actually can use World Edit for this. So I'm on the left click right here. To have this single player, I could go on Essentials and put my speed up really high. And right click this very end redstone, expand by 1, and stack it 13 times. And also right here, left click here, and right click right here, expand by 1, and stack it 13 times. So you have your rows for here. And that just basically makes this whole thing pretty conveniently fast. And I do not have repeaters right now. And trust me, I will get them done in a second. Once I connect all of them. And I don't really need to do this in slow motion. I mean fast motion. I mean sped up. I mean, this is pretty simple. It's not going to take very long. So I'd say it's okay for now. Oops. And I'm just telling you guys, we're probably going to need a lot of repeaters, and this is going to be... I'm probably going to have to split this episode, actually. So I'll just end once I get all the repeaters done. Actually, I'll end right before I do the repeaters. And hopefully by the time you're watching this video, I have the next one released, so there's nothing to worry about. And just 3 more. 2 more now. And if you guys have another way you want to make this all this redstone, if there's a faster way, feel free to do it. I mean, I'm kind of a noob like this. I gotta bring all the redstone around, do my own thing. And there we go, got that all that connected. Now I need to connect the second part, which will be easier. It'll actually pretty much be shorter. Okay. I'm sorry guys that this is going to be such a long video, but if you have that good way of bringing all the redstone down, then you could probably skip all this and go on to the next video, if that's the case. If not, I guess you could just stop. If you know how to do all this, you could just stop playing the video and do it all yourself without the video. But yeah, it's taking quite a while to do this. Almost done. There we go. And the last cord, the last redstone wire. Okay, well this is part 4 of building a Minecraft 4-bit calculator. I hope this helped you guys build your first Minecraft calculator, your second Minecraft calculator, or whatever. And basically we made a decimal to 7-second display converter and moved all of the 7-second display out there. And yeah, so see you guys next video, which is going to be part 5, making the 7-second display.